Sup is Gregatron. This, 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 this. Look at it. Yeah. Yeah. Look at it. This. Yeah. 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 This is Do you like my shirt? Yeah. Tap out. Fight for what you believe in. All right. Okay, so I was listening to the American Nick show yesterday, aka the American Anchor Baby, aka Nick Stream, aka Nick Get the Phone show. Okay, he had a call from Zenny. Shout out to Zenny. So Zenny calls in and they're having a conversation about the Jews, World War II, Hitler, all these things based off of World War II and different things. It was a long phone call, so I'm not going to show the whole thing. But he raised a question, Zenny that is, raised a question that made me think.
Right. I understand. Maybe you're saying that.
I'll ask you a specific question based on this whole Hitler World War II thing. So what were the great things that happened to America since World War II? What was America blessed with since World War II?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
What has gotten better in America since World War II?
I'm not sure.
Has crime gotten better? Has the spiritual sense of America gotten better?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Has the economy gotten better? Has the inflation gotten better?
Do you want to talk? What's going on?
Has anything gotten better in America?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Has everything gotten worse?
I don't know how to answer
that question because
some things are better, some things are smaller. Oh, that's where you go with it? Why do you say that?
No, nothing's gotten better. I'll answer it for you. Nothing's gotten better. Everything's gotten worse. America's been cursed ever since World War II.
And so why is that Jewish programming?
And why is that?
No, why is that?
Because it's based on the Hitler myth of the 6 million Jews in the Holocaust.
And so what do you think I think about that?
6 million Jews. Well, I don't know. It seems like you can't answer the question because even though it's completely obvious that everything has gotten worse since then. America used to be a way more moral
hold on.
country,
Hold on. Let's remember what had happened because I'm also interested in like people and why they behave the way they do. And let's remember what happened. You didn't just simply ask me, "Hey, has America gotten worse?" No, you're like, "Hey, Nick, has America gotten worse? How about this? How about that? How about this? How about that?" I'm like, "Nick, wait, hold on, Tony. Let me think about that." And then you took that whole thing. You stopped listening to me, and you took that as a Jewish programming thing. And I'm like trying to communicate. You're like, "How about this? How about that? How about this?" I'm like, "Well, some of the things you said were. Some of those things may be better. Some of those things I don't know." You said crime. I don't know. I don't know what crime was like pre-World War II. Is that Jewish programming? My bad. But you're mad at me, and it's crazy. That's Jewish programming. You're Jewish. That's Jewish programming because I don't know the answer to that.
You're the one getting mad. No, you're the one getting mad. No, because I called out your Jewish programming, bro. It's not your fault. Everyone has it. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. I'm calling out. Right. It's not your fault. I'm calling out.
We all went through the same education system made with the same history books created by Jews.
And so, what do you think? What do you think I'm saying about that?
The spoils.
This guy's having a conversation with somebody else.
I'm just saying. Like, can you name?
What was the last thing I said? What was the last thing I said?
What do you mean about what?
In this conversation, what was the last thing I said?
You got mad because I said you have Jewish programming.
So he's not even having a conversation with me.
No, I am, but
He's being very
you
Jewish.
couldn't answer the question, and I just called out why.
But you are Jewish. I forgot you are half Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You've become
I
what
know
you
these
hate.
people inside and out, bro.
You've become what you hate.
I know these people.
The question was, has anything gotten better after World War II? That was the question of the day. He brought up the crime, inflation, the economy, all these different things, basically saying they got worse after World War II. But my whole question is, Zenny, are you saying World War II is the reason everything got worse in America? Are you saying World War II is the cause of all those things going downhill? Crime, inflation, everything you mentioned. I don't understand the question. I don't get it. You're blaming World War II for everything gone to hell now? Because last I checked, everything's been going downhill for decades, if not centuries. Like, I think Zitty is close to my age. If you take a millennial like me, we'll say things were better in the 1990s. If you take a Gen Xer, he or she will say things were better in the 70s and 80s. If you take a baby boomer, he or she will say things were better in the 50s and 60s. So even if you take somebody who's 100 years old, that person will say, well, things were better in the 1930s and 40s. So I don't get how you can just say, if you're trying to say this, that is, I don't get how you can just say, well, everything got worse after World War II. Okay, but does that mean World War II is the reason for things getting worse? Like, you can make the same argument about the Civil War or the Civil Rights Movement or the war on poverty. You can say the same thing about the women's movement, women's suffrage. There's so many different things, whether they be movements or wars. The Cold War, the Vietnam War, the Civil War, like I said, World War I, the Iraq War with Bush. There's so many things that happened over these decades that changed the trajectory of the country. You can say the same thing about certain elections. So I don't get how you can say, you see I'm scratching my head. I don't get how you can say, well, World War II is when everything went to hell after World War II. But what about all those other things I just mentioned? Like, people said the same thing when Obama was in office. Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. Then people said that about Trump. But they were also saying the same thing about Bush. This country's going to hell in a handbasket. So, I don't understand how you can just point at that one specific. Are you saying if we never got into World War II, we would be better off as a country? I don't get it. Because last I checked, there's a lot of things as far as laws goes that should not have been passed. You know, like all these programs, putting people on food stamps and WIC and Link and all that stuff. That's not good. I mean, you could say the war on poverty. For me, it's the war on poverty and the Great Society. That's what made everything go to hell. not necessarily World War II. So I don't really understand the question either. And Nick didn't really understand it himself. So maybe you can make that a little bit more clear. Nah, I mean, because I was thinking about the call afterwards and I'm just like, what is he talking about? Like, what are you even saying right now? Elections have consequences. Laws have consequences. Wars have consequences. Supreme Court judges, police, other judges, DAs, all these things, us, we the people, all of us have consequences to our acts. But how do you equate that to a war? I just don't get it. Every president from George Washington until now has done, I'm sure, some good and some bad. I'm sure. From the beginning of American history. So how do you even measure what's good and what's bad? You mentioned the crime. We can talk about the crime. The crime prior to World War II was like what? Exactly. Opposed to the crime today. But why World War II? Why not after the 60s or the 80s? I just don't get it. Because it's all subjective, right? What's good, what's bad. I'm stumped. Like, I said to Zenny in the comment section, which is the chat, like, hey, I'm going to have to talk about this. Because I'm trying to get an understanding what you mean. So if you want to hit me up in the comments, that'd be cool. Zenny watches Bond. I watch Bond. We watch The Hake Report, the Nick Stream, the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. Zenny's cool people. But this is just one of those calls that don't make no sense. It's almost like one of those smoke on it questions. Name one thing that's gotten better since World War II. I mean, I'm sure there's been a hell of a lot of inventions since then. Right? I mean, name one thing that's gotten better. I mean, we can travel. Everybody can afford to fly. I don't even know, man. Because World War II was in the 40s, right? So, like, most of us aren't even old enough to remember what the world was like prior to that. You would have to ask an old timer that, to be honest. I mean, were you safer? Sure. Because the population was smaller. They always say, you know, you could sleep at night with your doors unlocked. Is that what you're referring to? But why equate that to World War II? Again, society has been going down the drain for decades. But I just don't get how you equate that with World War II. That's the only thing I'm saying. Like, in what way was World War II the tipping point? Are you saying things were going like this the whole time from 1776 up until the 1940s, and then the World War II happened, then everything just went downhill? If so, how did it go from this to this? That's all I want to. That's all I want to ask, based off of what you said. World War II. How did everything go from this to the 1940s, 1942 or whatever, and then downhill? Just explain that to me. Because from my understanding, you had the Roaring '20s, then you had the Great Depression, then we came out of a depression during World War II, and things didn't go to hell until the 60s. So between 1942 and 1968, were things getting worse or better for the country? That's the question I would ask you. From World War II to the Civil Rights Movement, that gap is the gap you want to look at as far as change goes. Things getting better or worse. Because the black family in America was together in the 40s and 50s. The family wasn't broken up until the 60s and beyond with those programs. And Zenny's in Canada. Just thought I'd mention that. That's why I don't understand what he's saying. So, hit me up in the comment section. I'm sorry, man. I just don't understand. I'm sorry. Please. And it's cool because Zenny has a YouTube channel himself. I'll put his channel right here. Yeah. And we used to do response videos back in the day. By we, I mean me and other YouTubers. So this is a response video to the American Anchor Baby show. And Zenny, I challenge you to make a response video to this. All right. Peace.